Sunday, South Reliance Festival. We've got a couple Eagle Beavers here. They were up early trying to learn.
You made that mistake and you will not do it again. Your fat, very waxy. When it's super hot.
Ellie doesn't love Dongoro. She will not support the efforts to save her job and buy her a hat. Because she says she's got her own goddamn hats.
You're not wrong.
Toss that in there. So, what I'm going to do with this, I am going to leave the shoulder attached to the shank on this, mostly just because of how it fit in the cooler. Just usually, this is somewhat stretched out. I would leave the shank a little bit like that, but with the size of it, you take this whole thing, toss it in your crock pot, you have a fantastic meal. Not enough people save their shanks. If you raise anything, beef, pork, lamb, you harvest venison, harvest black bear, save your shanks. Everyone goes through, grinds them, because they're like, there's tendons and shit. I don't want to deal with it. Well, guess what? Now you're putting those tendons and shit in your grind. If you got a good grinder, usually takes care of it. But you can take this, toss it in your crock pot, all those tendons, all that cartilage, all that sinew and everything. Again, I'm trying to do this as like a down and dirty homestead, as if you are outside of your homestead right now and you just popped this thing in the yard yesterday and now we're getting to it. Again, I could go into insane detail on how to do all of these crazy cuts with it, but it's one of those things where you do somewhat need the experience of doing this part first before you break down all the crazy stuff.
Hold that up so they can see that profile of the bottom cut.
Yeah.
When you go in a supermarket and you see lamb blade chops or lamb blade steaks and it's super cheap, there it is right
That's
there.
it.
They take that and they just go on a bandsaw right there.
Yeah, so usually when we would do I always call them lamb steaks.
Yeah.
We'd go, make 4 cuts here, 1, 2, 3, 4, spin it, and then you have these really nice, where's my duster?
So, okay.
I just think it's cool for people to see. A lot of times people look at a cut in a case in a store and they don't understand where that
No,
goes.
exactly. So it's like that. If you go buy a chuck steak or a chuck roast, that's essentially what this is, just for lamb. So what I do with this is we're gonna go through and kind of, again, with the same premise of take your fat off, kind of go through, put that blade right up against that bone and just work it over. You want to put some force, because obviously you are cutting it, but you want to have that knife do most of the work. And what I'm gonna do also, just because of, again, how Mr. Ram was in the was set in the cooler, the neck right here is kind of jammed up. Usually I'll go through, when I'm doing this at my shop, I have my full bandsaw. I'll take a whole lamb, break the back legs off, run those through the saw. Take the whole thing, take the neck off, take the shoulders off, break that chuck apart, break those shoulders apart so the shanks come off on their own, split the back, and break the whole thing down. Obviously in this setting, it is slightly different. So we're gonna come down here. You can see this is where your vertebrae come down. I'm gonna make a cut right here and separate this neck. All right, so we got that cut done. Go through here. Take this, toss it aside for grind. Again, when it's not all jammed up like that, neck roasts are my absolute fucking favorite. Again, they have all the bone in there, all the collagen, all that stuff. Toss that in a crock pot. Not a lot of people use crock pot. I feel as though that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I am here for the crock pots, and I will preach them from the rooftops.
I bought 2 the other day from the Goodwill.
And then that piece there he's got coming back into the shoulder, if you're looking at pork, you look at capricola, that's that muscle that they make capricola out of.
Pork shoulder,
Right.
So something just to touch on, I'm sure you guys saw me go from this to overhand grip. An overhand grip, when working with knives and stuff like that, is a very handy thing to learn, because I can try and get the tip in and get around the vertebrae and do things like that, like this. If you do it like this, now you're pointing straight down. You are controlling the tip of that knife wherever it needs to go. It is a skill. It is a learned skill that takes a lot of practice, but if you're doing a lot of this, it is absolutely worth it. So we're gonna go through, get around this vertebrae here. Put that right there, I'll leave that aside, trim that out in a minute.